Thank you for downloading Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Sam and I went all in talking about the season in review and the upcoming playoffs. We had such a great time. We decided to make it 2 episodes. Part 1 here as our season recap for your Cleveland Cavaliers. I think you're really going to like it. We give out team awards such as Breakout Player of the Year, Most Consistent, Sixth Man, and the Best Defender. All I'll say is LeBron didn't win a single award. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. Also, if you're a fan of all things Cleveland like myself, make sure to check out our Browns podcast, the Orange is Oranger Browns podcast. We had former Browns tight end Gary Barnidge on the show yesterday. He gave incredible insight on an NFL offseason and his career with the Browns. You can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts. Okay, here it is. Sam and I with your 2017 Cavs season recap. Enjoy the show.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for a Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, Cavs Insider, national NBA writer, blog boy, Sam Amico of AmicoHoops.net. Sam, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. Just, getting ready for the playoffs as usual.
Yep, coming to us live from, you're at the NBA pre-draft camp in Portsmouth, Virginia, correct?
That's right.
And just really quick, the pre-draft camp, explain it to us what that is.
Well, it doesn't get a lot of attention. Some of like the pre-draft combine and stuff in May. This is actually all college seniors. It's in its 66th year. Every team will be represented here. Is already represented, I believe. Everybody from the Cavs scouting department, including GM Kobe Altman, if not here now, is on their way. And it's 64. They're all seniors, 64 players just playing on 8 different teams, playing in a tournament-style situation. Everybody gets 3 games, I think, and then you play in kind of a tournament. And, the scouts just take it all in. So it's a great place to be when you're trying to find out. Most of these guys are going to be late first rounders, early second rounders at best. A lot of them won't get drafted. A lot of them will be playing overseas. But it's, hey, everybody from the NBA in terms of scouts are down here watching these guys, trying to find really the next Larry Nance Jr., who was a sleeper pick in the first round. Yeah. And played all 4 years at the University of Wyoming. So there you have it. It started last night, goes all the way through Saturday evening.
If we don't know where Kobe Altman is right now, leave it to Cleveland Twitter to find his plane and let you know immediately where where his plane is at. Well, that's great. Have a ton of fun. Enjoy the time. Let's jump right into it. Last night, the Cavs finished the 2017 season campaign with the loss to the Knicks. But Sam, what we want to do is this. We want to give kind of like a season recap of the state of the Cavs and then do a kind of like a playoff preview. So,
sure.
Sam, this is kind of the state of the Cavs. Let's talk about the NBA season.
Well, first of all, I think they're in a good place going into the playoffs. And when you think about this season, LeBron James said it last week, it said it best. It's been like 4 seasons in one.
Yeah.
It truly has, because you started the year with everybody waiting for Isaiah Thomas to return from that hip injury. What would he be like? How much would he contribute? In the meantime, the Cavs went on that 13-game winning streak in there before he returned, and were playing very well. And then Tristan Thompson and Isaiah Thomas came back from injuries, but the lineup just was clunky. Things weren't the same. They didn't play as well. The locker room was not a good situation. There was a lot of, the whole Kevin Love incident where Isaiah Thomas supposedly was pointing his finger at him. And then all of a sudden, the team's not playing well. They look terrible.
Yeah.
No cohesion, no chemistry. Then the trades on February 8th, which really reshaped 6 guys going out, and Jordan Clarkson and Rodney Hood and George Hill and Larry Nance Jr. coming in. And then, them kind of having to fit in, find their way. Coach Ty Lue getting sick, missing 9 games, and the Cavs going 8-1 in that stretch. And then, but I think if you look now, I think Ty Lue said after the game against the Knicks, the season finale, he said, he likes to call it "as the land turns" because there's always something going on, just like a little soap opera. But to me, at least in the second LeBron era, the Cavs closed the season better than they have any of the previous 3 years when they went to the finals each time. They played very well, minus that loss against the Heat and minus the loss against the Sixers. They played very well. So, they're in a good place going into the playoffs. They just need to hope that, and it seems like everybody is finally healthy.
Yes.
You're always a little dinged up, but it seems like everybody's finally healthy, and I think they're as confident as ever. Even though now, interestingly, last season they had to go through the first round Indiana, second round Toronto, and then the Eastern Conference Finals they played Boston. The bracket is set up the same this way, this year. I don't think Boston will get to these finals. It'll probably be the Sixers, maybe. On that other side of the brackets, it's very interesting. But now they'd have to go through the Pacers, obviously. And then this year, Toronto would have the home court advantage and the number 1 seed. I think if the Cavs got to the finals as the number 4 seed, it would be the first time, or if they won it, that'd be the first time anybody's ever won it as a number 4 seed. So,
add that to the list of accomplishments.
Yes, I was going to say there's a lot of, you talk about LeBron James and everything that he's accomplished this year in terms of the consecutive games, the scoring marks. He sets all kinds of milestones every season. So, this could potentially be another.
I was on NBA Reddit this morning, and I saw this the stat. The Cavs have used 29 different starting combinations of 18 different players during 82 games this regular season.
Yeah, well, that says a lot. I don't think too many other teams are in that situation. Even in a year where there have been a lot of injuries to big names, I doubt many other teams did that. And then you look at now, somebody's going to get left out of this rotation because the playoff rotation's always tight. The Cavs have been playing 10, 11 guys. Who are the 3 guys that are going to be left out? Because they really do go 10 or 11 deep. I suspect that Tristan Thompson's not going to get a lot of minutes. He's not in great shape. He hasn't been playing well. He hasn't been doing the things that he earned him a spot in the rotation and that huge contract. I suspect he'll be one of those surprise guys who may not be playing much early in the playoffs.
Yep. So let's talk about some big positives and some good takeaways that we saw from this Cavs season. We talked a lot about kind of like the drama, the different starters, the injuries, the turmoil, all that stuff. Sam, what were at a big scope things that you really loved that you saw from this team in this season?
I think the first thing that the team reminds me very much of Michael Jordan before the Chicago Bulls got real good, and they called him Michael and the Jordanaires. To me, this is LeBron and the Jameses, LeBron and the James gang or something. They've become, while Kevin Love is a very good number 2 option, they've very much become LeBron has to carry this team. But that said, there's a lot of other things to like about the team in terms of Rodney Hood and Jordan Clarkson, who's been very unsung since coming to Cleveland. I think that Ty Lue needs to find a way to make sure Jordan Clarkson is playing a lot of minutes. Fit him in there with Rodney Hood and Kyle Korver as your primary shooting guards off the bench. Actually, Rodney Hood should start. I think that you're going to see less J.R. Smith, and you need to see less J.R. Smith and more Jordan Clarkson because those guys offer some athleticism. They have some youth and athleticism and energy now. The locker room is in a very good place in terms of everybody getting along. Everybody knows this is LeBron James' show. Everybody knows Kevin Love is the second option. There's no debate about that. There's nobody playing for a contract. There's no Kyrie Irving. There's no Isaiah Thomas. They do miss Kyrie. There's no question about that. But this team may have more just cohesion than at any other time in LeBron's. There was always some little drama, whether it was involving Kyrie or Love or something. There's none of that now, and that's probably, you want to know the biggest positive, that's it. You have a super duper star, the best player in the game, along with team cohesion. Those are two huge positives. Now, I don't know if you're going to ask me the obstacles, but the obstacles are very clearly the issues that they've had defensively, which they've shored up a little bit, but they need to get that defense in order, and they need to use this first round to do that, because Indiana, believe it or not, is a much improved team from last year, having traded away Paul George and got Victor Oladipo, and they are a team that's proof that you don't need a super duper star if you're well coached and you have cohesion and defend. And this Pacers team will do that. So
it's weird with after the trade deadline. It seemed like they've had some games where the defense was stellar and some games where the defense was just like non-existent. So hopefully, they've gotten some of that figured out as far as transitions and just how to play team defense with a whole new team, essentially. And you're kind of wanting to see a little more consistency towards the end of the season. And I think it was getting there, but, defense isn't really synonymous with the Cavs sometimes.
Well, a lot of that, frankly, was LeBron. You see times where he just was not going to defend. He was saving it for 0 dark 30 or whatever.
Right.
But there were times where LeBron would not slide over to help sometimes. The big guy would get beat, whether it be Love or Tristan or Nance, and rather than slide over to help, LeBron would preserve his body and just stand there and kind of watch. So, I know a lot of those film sessions after practice, they were kind of, hey, LeBron, you got to do your part here. And I think he started to slowly but surely pick that up. Now, again, it's not all on LeBron, but he, if your star player's not leading the way on defense, the rest of the guys probably aren't going to defend that hard either. So I suspect it'll be better just for his, in terms of how he defends in the playoffs. I think he'll step it up. I think he will move over, switch to help, and do all that stuff as the playoffs get more important. So, and Ty Lue said they're going to use some new schemes. So we'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the team cohesion and unity is obviously the healthiest it's ever been this year. I think having Kevin Love's role defined for the first time, like everyone knows like what he is, what he does, and how much he brings to the table, like that is definitely a positive this year. And to see the defense kind of slowly coming together is encouraging. Sam, I want to do this segment. It's called Cavs Team Awards. All right. Now, you cannot answer LeBron James with these Cavs Team Awards because, one, he probably wouldn't apply to some, but two, he might if awards that he could win. I don't want to answer LeBron. I want to see who else we have here. Okay, I got 4 awards here I want you to give out to players on the team, all right? The first one for the season is Breakout Player of the Year for the Cleveland Cavs. Now, I know we've had a lot of players.
Wow.
Breakout Player of the Year.
Breakout Player of the Year, I would probably go with it because you have to look at, who's been with the team the longest. I guess at the beginning, it would have been Larry Nance Jr. when he first got here after the trade. He was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
But has not been quite the same since that injury. You know who I'm gonna? I don't know if this is fair because he's a rookie, but I would say Cedi Osman. I don't think anybody expected him to have this kind of rookie season. You're talking about a guy who was a second-round draft pick coming into a veteran team.
Yeah.
After playing professionally in Turkey for a while. I think I wrote at the beginning of the year, which shows you how much I know, that don't expect this guy to contribute. It's not fair to expect him to contribute. But he has become, a very good wing defender.
Yeah.
He's one of those hustle players. He plays, who's pretty skilled. And to me, it's like you're talking about a guy who's a rookie. He has not reached his potential yet. He could be a very good player in this league for some time. So to me, Cedi Osman's the breakout player, biggest surprise.
I agree 100%. I'm a huge Cedi fan. And LeBron is too. LeBron's very complimentary of Cedi and how like instinctive and smart he is. And I think that's LeBron loves to give that compliment. But I think when he does, it only speaks good things. Next award here, Sixth Man Award. Who would you give that to on the Cavs? And I know it's hard with all the influx of players.
Yeah. To me, with the way that everything's changed and altered, and it's hard to pick a guy who's a sixth man, but I would say, even though he started a lot in a pinch, and even though he's sat in a lot of games, to me it'd be LeBron James. No, I'm just kidding. To me it'd be Jose Calderon.
Yeah.
And Kyle Korver's been awesome, so it's hard to go against him. I think J.R. Smith has done better in that role, obviously, but that he hasn't played it enough. So to me, Calderon has been their top reserve in terms of a guy who has stayed ready through it all. Started during the winning streak, and then I think they're 25-9 when he starts. He's been, and while he has not played a traditional six-man role in a year like this, they haven't had one. So I think that he's been their best reserve because he's done what you want in a reserve. When he's played very well, and when he rode the bench, he hasn't complained. So when they signed him, I think that most people were like, why? What are they thinking? What are they doing? Why are they bothering with this guy? He's been washed up for 4 years. Well, he's proved to fit in very well on this team and has played very well in lineups with LeBron, as most guys do. But those two have been he gives them a guy who's, look, he's not going to take a lot of shots, but with the ones he gets, he knocks them down. And he runs the offense, and he's just a great person to have in the locker room and around this team. And he's never swayed all year, even during the drama. He has been on top of it. So to me, it's Jose Calderon.
Talking about Calderon, that's what I would say as well. Whenever he is running point or in the break, he knows where to put the ball. He knows how to get the ball moving. Which leads us to this next award. And instead of being most improved, because we haven't seen a lot of games to see a lot of improvement before a lot of the new people, but who would you say is the most consistent player on the team?
Well, most consistent, I would probably say, boy, that's a tough one. Only because obviously it's always LeBron, but right. And he's been wildly consistent. I'm sure I'm going to say somebody and want to change my answer later. But thinking about it, when healthy, Kevin Love has been very consistent. In terms of getting double doubles, and I also think that once Rodney Hood came around and stayed healthy, he was pretty reliable. But I'm going to go with Kevin Love just because he has been. He hasn't had those really, really bad games like he had, frankly, during the Kyrie era and when Isaiah Thomas was on the team. I think Love has always played his best basketball in Cleveland when he is the clear number 2 option next to LeBron. Because LeBron makes sure he gets the ball. LeBron sets him up, and just as he does everybody else. But I think Kevin Love, when it's like you're the number 2 guy, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And when his teammates are making sure he knows that, he fares better. So I would say him. But I think that there are a lot of guys. There's been a lot of inconsistency, but there has been a few guys who have been consistent. As well.
All right, final one, and this might be the most difficult one, Sam. Aside from LeBron, best defender this season.
I'm going to go with Jeff Green or Cedi Osman. Could we give 2 awards to Cedi Osman? But I think Jeff Green is the guy who really has. The Cavs use him on every position, really, except to defend point guards. And even then, sometimes he's gone out and taken the point guard. So I think he's clearly their most versatile defender. But in a year of poor defense, it's hard to get too excited about one player. But I think Jeff Green really deserves some type of honor here because he's kind of the forgotten man out of this rotation and has played an important part. Really, he's kind of replaced Tristan Thompson. plays a totally different style, doesn't rebound nearly enough, Jeff Green. But in terms of having that extra big guy who's kind of able to do a little bit of everything, and has made Tristan, the way Tristan has played, kind of made Tristan a non-factor. Jeff Green to me has been, and really, I mean, it is either he or Osman that are the best defenders and most reliable defenders.
Before we get into the playoff preview, Sam, I want to finish up and tie a bow on the season talk. The Cavs are in position right now, the 8th best chance to be the number 1 pick in the draft. The Nets season ended, and the Nets pick the 8th worst record in the league. And I'm sure we'll do a huge draft blowout as we get closer to the draft. But right now, what position do you see the Cavs looking to target if they do get the 8th pick or any pick higher?
Well, I think that, this is, first of all, this is a draft stocked with big guys.
Yep.
I think that they'll look at a big man first, but they also wouldn't mind if Trae Young is there at 8, they would certainly consider him, and I think he will be there. I think his draft stock kind of fell a little bit toward the end of the season, the Oklahoma standout point guard. But it's a draft it's so stacked with big guys, very, very heavy in terms of power forwards and centers who are gifted and can go out and shoot or block shots, or I think that will be their primary thing that they're looking at. I also think they're going to really try again this offseason before the draft or on draft day to move Tristan Thompson.
Gotcha. Will we know LeBron's decision before the draft?
No. The draft is – I don't think so unless he comes out and tells everybody, which he's not prone to do. But, the draft is June 29th, and it's like a week after the finals, or it's very soon. Yeah, June. Yeah, it's the last week of June. It might be the 25th. And then what's the other – the free agency starts July 1st. So – I don't think at that point, look, when they drafted Andrew Wiggins, they didn't know LeBron was coming back. So it's usually 2 weeks or so after that, but they're going to build this team with the idea that we're going to be a playoff team, whether he comes back or not. Now, obviously they would keep everybody else on this team for next year, or most everybody else. And they've got 3 young, good players and Clarkson and Hood and Larry Nance Jr.
That was what was so exciting about those moves, is not only did we kind of inject new life into our current team and get younger and get longer, but it was like a help now and help later moves. Of planning for both realities.
Right. Look, everybody wants LeBron James to return, and there's no predicting what he's going to do. I don't think. I've said all along I think he's coming back. But if you enter the season next year with Hood, Hill, Clarkson, Nance Jr., Kevin Love, and some of these other guys, and throw in a draft pick, you're still going to have a pretty good team. You're not going to be the team that lost 26 games in a row. You're going to be a competitive team, and obviously you'd make some trades in there. But I think that, like you said, you have a good young foundation, and you're going to have a top 10 pick, and then you're going to have Kevin Love back too. So, would they be a championship contender? No. Would they be lots of fun to watch? And hey, Larry Drew is coach. That's a topic for another day. But
it is.
It would be. They'd be okay. They wouldn't be a nightmare.
One of the things to kind of touch on the coaching subject. If Fizdale coaches the Cavs, that could be, really make the Browns' choice not as difficult. You can stay in Cleveland, Fizdale with this guy. That would be interesting.
Yeah. I think that that first of all, if you're the Cavs, you need to be careful in hiring a coach just because you want LeBron to stay. Because frankly, it didn't matter to him when he came back. He had come back with David Blatt. Didn't know him at all. A first-year GM in David Griffin, And it was the situation. And that's why I think he's going to stay, is because people forget, why did he come back? Because he thought, wow, the Cavs are really great. They're going places. I love this David Blatt. This David Griffin's a great GM. He didn't know
Me and Dan get along so well.
And he and the owner get along so well, right? The owner writ me in a letter. He came back because it was home. And I think that if that's the decision he made, then he's going to stay, because this is the only place in America that is home to him. So I'm sure we'll talk about that.
I hope you are right, Sam.
I hope I'm right too. It's more fun to cover the team with him than without, that's for sure.
Well, that does it for this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Stay tuned for our playoff preview up next in your queue. You're not going to want to miss that one. Sam and I offer up our picks and how we think the Cavs are going to fare against the Pacers in round one. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening, for following us on Twitter, and for checking out AmicoHoops.net. Also, we are looking for sponsors for this podcast. If you have a business or an online venture, please shoot us an email at podcast@cavsonthebreak.com, or tweet us, tweet me, tweet Sam, tweet Cavs on the Break, and we will get information to you as soon as possible. Do us a favor, subscribe, rate, review our podcast on iTunes. It does help with iTunes and other search algorithms, and we would love to know your thoughts on the show. You can follow Sam on Twitter at AmicoHoops. You can catch all of his work and writings at AmicoHoops.net. You can follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. Mike Breen, you know what to do. Take us out!
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.